In today's episode, store manager said they wouldn't take my check. My house in the middle of the street. Tell my mom to speak English? Okay. So let's get started. Store manager said they wouldn't take my check. This was back around 1996 or 1997. I went into what was, at the time, a major computer and electronics store. I had my heart set on buying a particular laptop. I had done my research and they had the exact one I wanted. It was a Saturday and I was looking forward to spending Sunday getting it all ready to take to work Monday. Our company only provided desktop computers, and having a laptop meant I could take work home with me and not have to remote in as much over dial-up modem and waste time downloading things. I could already envision how I would become the very model of productivity. I picked up the laptop, plus laptop bag, Ethernet card, Pumpshia, and modem card. The total price for everything was around $2,800. This was back when large purchases were still routinely made by check. Stores would validate that checks were good electronically with services like CheckFax, similar to the way credit card transactions are validated, though MasterCard, Visa, Amex, etc. Well, the store's modem was down and they could not connect to whatever system they used to validate checks. I had a debit card, but back then there was like a $200 daily limit on how much you could charge on your debit card. I know the stonage, right? I told the store manager that there was a number for my bank you could call. It was conveniently on the back of my debit card, and they would provide verbal authorization over the phone. The salesperson, who would get a commission for the sale, already had the bank on the line. The store manager flat out refused to accept a check authorization unless it came through their system, which was down. He said he would not take my check, and I would have to come back on Monday when the system was working again. No matter how much I and the salesperson tried to reason with him, he was not going to budge. Now, normally this would have steamed me so much that I would have taken my business elsewhere, but I really wanted that laptop. They were the only store in town that carried it, and I didn't want to wait for mail order. Must have new toy now. So, if he didn't want to take my check, fine. I'd pay in cash. Lots of it. On Monday, I went to my bank and said I wanted to withdraw $2,800 in $1 bills. I thought about asking for quarters, but figured no one would have that many quarters on hand. The teller asked me why I needed so many ones, just out of curiosity. I told her exactly what I was planning to do with them. She was completely on board with it. That branch didn't have that many ones. They had about half. The teller called ahead to the downtown branch, and they said they had the rest. She told them why I needed all the ones, and they got a big kick out of it as well. Even though the tellers had to unbundle all the ones and run them through a counting machine, bank policy, they were more than happy to do so. The money filled up 2 medium-sized brown paper bags. They were all nicely bundled in bricks of $100 each. I drove to the store and, in the parking lot, removed the bands that held the bricks of cash together and stuffed the now loose bills back in their brown paper bags. I then walked in and found the same salesperson from that Saturday and confirmed with him that the same store manager was working that day. I had him pull the same stuff as before. I then showed him what was in the 2 brown paper bags I was carrying and told him to call the manager. The manager was none too pleased when I started, carefully, so as not to lose any bills, dumping the $1 bills out on the customer service desk counter. I reminded him that he said my checks were no good, so I brought cash. He threatened to not accept all those ones, but the salesperson immediately jumped in my behalf. He really wanted that commission, I guess. Besides, I don't think he legally had a choice. It was US currency. Good for all debts, public and private. That is literally printed on all US notes, if you've never bothered to take a close look at one. Now, unlike the bank, they did not have a money counting machine. Every available employee, including the store manager and the salesperson, had to get behind the customer service counter and start counting ones. The store manager was pissed. The salesperson was not. He was actually happy about it. Commission, I'm guessing again. The other employees were, shall we said, ranging between annoyed and peeved. It took them quite a while to count it all. I then dropped the precise change on the counter to complete the sale price, 82 cents. As I was leaving with my new toys, I asked the store manager if he was going to give me any more trouble about taking my checks in the future. I did not wait around for his reply. About a month later, a friend of mine stopped in the same store. He said to one of the salespeople that he was a friend of mine, and if he knew about what had happened. The salesperson just happened to be the same salesperson who sold me my laptop. He said that it had actually turned out to be kind of convenient. They had put all those ones in the safe, and ever since they had not had to send anyone to their bank once to pick up $1 bills to make change. My house in the middle of the street. When I pay my mortgage, I round up and divide in half. I pay half every other week. So my mortgage got picked up by another company when my mortgage company went out of business. To do what I was doing with the new company was $300 to enroll, and an extra $40 each payment. Oh hell no. I spoke to my credit union, and they had an auto pay that would pay my bills from my direct deposit free. So nearly a year goes by, and I get one of those scary A*S letters: you are in default on your mortgage. Unless we get X payment within 10 days of this letter, we will foreclose. I was astounded since I had never missed a payment and was actually paid a couple of months ahead. I spoke with their accounting department. It seems they couldn't accept half payments, only full payments, even though they had done so for a year, so the money had to sit unapplied until a full payment was accrued. That made sense, except again, they got more than enough, and it was always in there in full before the due date, so on the due date they should have just taken it and applied it to the mortgage. So further digging, the rep says to me, "Oh, by the way, we have $8,200 of unapplied funds in this account. What do you want to do with it? Pay my mortgage with it?" "Oh, we can't do that." So I had to get a check cut for $8,200, pay $45 for them to overnight it to me, take it to my credit union, cash it, pay $25 for a cashier's check, and pay another $45 to send the cashier's check back to them. I called relentlessly to see when it had arrived and had all kinds of postal tracking, signature confirmation, etc. Remember, I only had 10 days to get this sh*T straight. So they get it and verify that it is applied to my mortgage, and that there will be no foreclosure. The rep tells me, "Well, your next payment is due in 2 weeks and there will be penalties and late fees applied, so the amount is XYZ, and we are raising your interest rate to nearly twice what it was before." No. All this is your company's fault. She says you knew these were the terms and conditions when you took out your mortgage with us. No. I didn't take it out with you, I took it out with another company, and I was assigned to your company. Well, don't be late with the next payment. No. I want to speak with a manager. So I finally get to speak to a manager, and he wasn't much better. His only response: "Well, you can always go with another company, but good luck with it these days, so many foreclosures and your credit is not very good from missing so many payments." So I decided to take his advice. I contacted my credit union, explained everything, showed them their own payment transfers, and the mortgage statements showing the other company had received the money bi-weekly like clockwork, and the credit union took over my mortgage. I got a reduced interest rate and killed all the fees, penalties, and got the overpayment back. I applied it to the new mortgage payments, etc. So when a company acts like they have you over a barrel and tells you to try to go with someone else, do it. Tell my mom to speak English? Okay. This is a story that was recently brought up again by my mom when she was recounting some really shitty racism she encountered when she first came to the United States. I've heard this story a few times before but didn't think to share it anywhere else. That is until I was made aware of this subreddit. Enjoy. It was the late 1980s in Los Angeles, California. By this time my mom, a Japanese immigrant, had been living in the United States for 10 years. Although she could speak English well, she wasn't fluent and preferred to speak Japanese with others from the local Japanese American community. One day, she and a friend were waiting to be seated at a restaurant on Beverly Boulevard. As they chattered away in Japanese, a large shadow cast down upon them. Looking up, they found Karen's 1989 counterpart leering down at them. Mom couldn't remember how the woman looked except for the look of pure contempt trying to work its way across facial muscles frozen by Botox. "You too," Karen barked, "this is America. Speak English." Startled, my mom and her friend made eye contact, unsure of what to do. Encounters like this were, sadly, ones they had run into many times, since they came to live in the USA. They were not ones for confrontation. Before, they couldn't do anything while their bullies marched off, unpunished. But then, as they made eye contact, a brilliant thing happened. Mom likened the moment to their thought processes coming in sync together. They had a shared idea that didn't need any further elaboration or explanation. "Masami, my dear, I do think the waiter ought to have shown up to escort us to our table by now," Mom chimed in the poshest British accent she could muster. "It's frightfully rude to keep us waiting like this." "Yes, darling," her friend replied, invoking her best impersonation of the Princess of Wales, "it is frightfully rude indeed." As they continued to twitter away in their fake English accents, Karen began to slowly back away. Her Botox face reddened and twisted itself in a visage as hideous as the Furies. Realizing that she had just been outsmarted by two young women obsessed with British culture and celebrity, all she could do was storm off down Beverly Boulevard a defeated bully. While there was no direct punishment, it was a story that my mom would continue to retell 30 years later. It has always made me chuckle to myself, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.